Okay, students, today we start to learn a very large part of medical biology. It is a science, part of science about parasitism and about learning about parasites. Uh, First of all, I want to talk to you about classification of parasites. Uh, in this year, we learn two main types of parasites: monocellular or unicellular or multicellular parasites. About unicellular parasite. These parasites are from kingdom Parasitita and multicellular parasites are from kingdom Animalia. And we will learn, for example, amoeba in in this lesson. On the second lesson we will learn flagellatus. Flagellatus, for example, I'm not sure, it's Georgia Alamblia or Trichomonas or Leishmania. On the third lesson we will learn Sporozoa and Ciliates, or in other word is Litostomata. And examples are Toxoplasma gondii from Sporozoa, or Plasmodium malariae, or from Litostomata or Ciliates, there is Balantidium coli. And later we go to learn helminths and arthropoda. As you see here, this is not enough figure, and I draw at arthropoda. For example, there are insects, Okay, what's the next? What's the next? We must know what is learn parasitology. We in that time talk about classification of parasitology. What's the second? We will learn types of parasites and types of hosts. And go to types of parasites. This is a schematic picture of human. This is, for example, human is a host to parasites. And types, what is the types of parasites? There are divided into types of parasites. There are divided to place, life cycle, types of parasites. For the place, life cycle, time on or in host, and specifically and non-specific parasites. First type, it is a place of parasites, and there are endoparasites and ectoparasites. We can see endo and ecto. Endoparasites, and they live within the body of the host. For example, Ascaris lumbricoides, it is an endoparasite, and these parasites live in our gastric tract. Okay, next one, next part, it is ecto parasite, and this parasite lives, or these parasites live on the outside of the body or on the surface of the body. For example, mosquito is the ectoparasite, and female mosquito fly to our sit down to our skin. Our skin is our surface of our body, and drink our blood. Okay, for what about lifestyle? There are what's the types of parasites? There are facultative, obligate, incidental, and incidental and accidental parasites. What is obligate parasite? Obligate parasite, it is completely dependent upon its host and cannot lead a free life. As I said, the larva and the adult parasite of Ascaris lumbricoides can't live outside our bodies. And another example, Georgia lamblia. Oh, no. It is a bad example. Trichomona vaginalis. It is a parasite. This parasite can't live outside our bodies. Can't live. Okay. What is a facultative parasite? These parasites, for example, larvas of this parasite can live in the ground. And what's the example I can use? This is Necator americanus. Their larvas can live in the ground and can live free. Their larvas, one of the types of larvas of this parasite can live free. Okay, the next one, it is the incidental parasite, can establish itself in a host in which it does not ordinary life. And accidental parasite, it is a free living organism that may live as a parasite in a host. Incidental and accidental, what is the difference between them? Incidental parasite has facilities to live like a parasite. Accidental, it may live in or on host, but it hasn't facilities or fixtures to live like a parasite. Okay, the next one, it is about a time or inside the host, on the host or inside the host. What about time? The first one is the temporary parasite. The temporary parasite or occasional parasite, it is a free living organism, but for example, a mosquito find us and for a food, find us for a food. and periodic parasite. It is a transitory parasite. The some part of their life cycle in some part of their life cycle they can be a parasite. What's the example I can use? Just a second. Larvas or a flare can, or they aren't a parasite life, but the flare live like a parasite. Okay, and special, non-special parasites. The special parasites occurs in one particular host, or specific in other words. And non-specific or pseudoparasites, this is a mistake of they start to be a parasite in a mistake. For example, larvas of Musca domestica can go with food to our digestive system and live like a parasite, but they're not a parasites. Okay, what's the next? Types of hosts. We learn types of parasites, and we now we must go to learn types of hosts. I draw here main points of life cycle of parasites, because the type of host depend of life cycle of one of the parasites or of the parasites. Okay, we can see in nature final hosts. What is the final hosts? It is hosts where is a sexual mature, or in these hosts are adult parasite stage. Okay, the next one, it is the intermediate host. In intermediate host we can find asexual stages of parasite. For example, there are larvas of parasite, or for example for whose for Plasmodium malaria we are the intermediate host, because inside our body there is the asexual stage of this parasite, and the final host for this parasite is a mosquito, malaria mosquito. And in this parasite we can find sexual stages of Malarium plasmodium. Okay, the next one is reservoir host. It is interesting host, because in this host are storages of parasites. Okay, and the next one is the vector. Vector, for example, arthropods, and they carries a parasite to the hosts, or they can be one of the hosts. As I said, and again we come back to the malaria Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium ovale. Human is the intermediate host, but human get the Plasmodium vivax from the final host. The final host of Plasmodium vivax is a mosquito, but this mosquito can be there is a vector of Plasmodium vivax. I hope this is you understand it. Okay. And what's the next? What's the next one? It is sources and mode of parasitic infection or infection and or infestation. There are first food and drink, or foods and drinks. Ingestion of raw or undercooked food, or drinking water or other beverages containing the infective stage of the parasite. What is the infective stage? Infective stage of the parasite, it is the stage of life cycle of parasites, and this stage can start an infection. The second one is the soil, dust and water. Okay. Injection of food or drink contaminated with soil or dust containing the infective stage of the parasite. The next one is inhalation of dust. And this dust must contain infective stage. Direct contact with soil, handling, for example, the infective stage of penetrates the skin. And the last one is using water streams and there are washing, swimming, wading, irrigation. Okay, vector. What about vectors? Like a source of parasitic infection. Bit of vector inoculation the infective stage. The next variant is feces of vector containing the infective stage contaminate the skin. Okay, and the next one, ingestion of vectors containing the infective stage, and the direct penetration of an arthropod into the skin. There is about vectors. And the direct contact. There are skin contact or sexual contact or auto-infection or direct infection. What's the next? The next we must learn effects of the parasites to the hosts. The first effect is when parasites obstructing nourishment from the host. This is a larva. It is like a skin of the second or third skin of a larva, and there are, for example, part of the muscle. The second effect is a mechanical effect leading to tissue destruction. As a result, we got a trauma, a pressure, compression, or, for example, inside our gastric tract, worm can food can't can go into our gastric tract because worms don't take them a possibility take a possibility of food to go inside our gastric tract. Toxic effect from toxins, secrets, or waste products. For example, worms can produce a waste of this living, and for our organism their wastes are toxic. Okay, and their wastes has a toxic effect to our organism. And the last one is a secondary infection with other organisms, for example with bacteria. And today we will learn about amoeba. Okay, and amoeba can amoeba can call a sore, and to this sore can connect a petrifictive bacteria. Okay.